Hello everyone, my name is Olanrewaju Muiz and welcome to my presentation for Introduction to Global Ethics. Today I'll be discussing Kant's deontology and how it applies to the moral issue of adultery. In this presentation, I will explain the main ideas behind deontology, discuss Kant's categorical imperative, and apply all three formulations to this reward scenario. Theoretical foundations. To understand Kant's ethics, we first need to understand the foundation of deontology. Kant believed morality should be based on reason, duty, and moral principle rather than emotion or personal desires. According to Kant, moral law should apply equally to everyone, no matter the situation or consequences. So what is deontology? Deontology is an ethical theory developed by the philosopher Immanuel Kant. Unlike ethical theories that focus mainly on consequences, deontology focuses on duty and moral rules. Kant believed that some actions are morally right or wrong by themselves. This means people should do the right thing simply because it is their moral duty. The moral dilemma. The moral dilemma I choose for this presentation is adultery. Adultery happens when a person is in a committed relationship, secretly having an affair with another person. This action usually involves dishonesty, betrayal, and breaking promises made to a spouse or partner. Now we will examine how Kant's ethical theory evaluates this behavior. The categorical imperative. To determine whether an action is moral, Kant created the categorical imperative. This is a universal moral principle that applies to all rational human beings. Kant introduced three formulations of the categorical imperative, and each one helps us test whether an action is morally acceptable. The first formulation and application. This slide explains the first formulations of the categorical imperative, which is a formula of universal law. Kant says we should only act according to rules that we would want everyone else to follow as well. So the question becomes, what would happen if everybody committed adultery whenever they wanted to? If everyone broke promises and cheated on their partner, trust in relationship and marriage would completely collapse. Promises would lose their meaning because nobody would expect loyalty anymore. Since this creates a contradiction and destroys the purpose of commitment, Kant will say adultery is morally wrong under the first formulation. Then the second formulation and application. This slide focuses on the second formulation, which is the formula of humanity. Kant believes we should never treat people simply as tools for our own benefit. Instead, we must treat every person with honesty, dignity, and respect. In adultery, the cheating partner hides the truth while continuing to benefit from the relationship. Because the spouse is being deceived, they cannot make informed decisions about their own relationship. This means they are being treated as a means to an end rather than respected as a rational person. For this reason, adultery fails the second formulation as well. Then let's go to the third formulation and application. The third formulation is called the kingdom of ends. Kant asks us to imagine a perfect moral society where everyone and everybody respect each other and follow their moral laws. Now imagine a society where adultery and deception are accepted. Trust between people will slowly disappear and relationship would become unstable. A moral society depends on honesty, respect, and responsibility. Because adultery weakens those values, it would not be accepted in Kant's ideal community. So, under the third formulation, adultery is also morally wrong. Now, summary comparison matrix. These slides give a summary comparison of how adultery fail all three formulations of Kant's categorical imperative. Under the universal law formulation, adultery fails because if everyone broke promises and cheated, trust and marriage commitments would lose their meaning. Under the humanity formulation, adultery fails because deception treats a spouse as a tool rather than respecting them as a rational human being. And under the kingdom of ends formulation, adultery fails because a moral society depends on trust, honesty, and mutual respect. So overall, all three formulations reaches the same conclusion that adultery is morally wrong. So the key deontological takeaway. This slide highlights some important lessons from deontological ethics. The first takeaway is absolute importance to truth. Kant believed honesty is necessary for moral relationship and trust. The second takeaway is dignity over desire. Personal desire should never be placed above another person's dignity and autonomy. The third takeaway is logical consistency. Moral rules should apply equally to everyone without contradiction. And finally, responsibility for choice reminds us that people must take moral responsibility for their action and decision. Now, the duty and absolute morality. These slides focus on duty and absolute morality. Kant believed that morality is based on duty, not personal feelings or consequence. According to deontology, some actions are always morally wrong, even if someone believes they might produce good results. This means there are no exceptions for actions like deception or betrayal simply because they benefit someone personally. For Kant, moral obligation should remain consistent in every situation. Now, the discussion and question slides. This topic also raises important questions about morality and human behavior. Should moral rules always be followed without exception? Can personal emotion or difficult situation ever justify breaking moral duty? And should society focus more on intention or on consequences when judging action? These are important ethical debates that continue in philosophy today. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to any question or discussion. And this slide contains my reference materials. These are the reference materials used in this presentation. The source include the course textbook and academic material related to Kantian ethics and deontology. This reference helps support the explanation and ethical analysis presented throughout this discussion. And these slides include the image sources I use. It contains the image sources used in this whole presentation. The images were included to support the visual understanding of the concept discussed. Thank you once again for your time and attention.